Hello everyone, welcome to In the Trenches, Kroll's weekly cyber threat intelligence briefing. Today is the 17th of March and my name is George Glass, an Associate Managing Director in the Cyber Threat Intelligence team. Joining me today from the CTI team is Dave Truman and Sam Flint. As always, we'll be covering the most recent trends that our threat intelligence team is witnessing in the trenches. So let's get into the situation report. First up, we've got some more updates on KTA 080 or CLOP activity. There's been a flurry of published files that were last revealed from the E to H listing around February 24th of this year. Some victim organizations were removed from that listing, as well as the H to the W listing. Likely due to negotiations with the threat group to refrain from sensitive data being published. Additional victim companies have also been published outside of the E to H listing. This is very fluid kind of situation here, but we'll keep everybody up to date as we have been these last few weeks. Next up, Apple has patched a critical zero-day vulnerability tracked as CVE 2025-24201, affected nearly all supported iPhone and iPad models. The vulnerability lies within WebKit and stems from a memory bug that could allow malicious web content to escape the web content sandbox. So ensure you're updating your iOS appliances here. There's currently no indication of widespread exploitation of that activity. Next up, KTA 071 or Lazarus has performed a supply chain attack using the NPM repositories. 6 malicious packages, all of which are typo squatted. The malicious packages aim to compromise developer environments, steal credentials, and extract cryptocurrency data. The malware embedded within these typo squatting packages deploys beavertail malware and invisible ferret backdoor to exfiltrate sensitive browser and wallet data to a command and control center. Some of them have been downloaded over 330 times, and the tactics, of course, mirror Lazarus's previous campaigns involving obfuscation, multi-stage payload delivery, and persistence. So yes, again, more targeting of the supply chain. We've covered NPM repo targeting before, and I think that's going to continue well into 2025. Last up here is confirmed exploitation of a critical PHP CGI vulnerability. That is CVE 2024-4577, and that has a CVSS score of 9.8, affecting all PHP installations on Windows. This was patched last year, but has since come under widespread exploitation in multiple countries, including the US, UK, Japan, Singapore, and Germany. It was disclosed in June last year, and has been linked to the malware campaigns like Tell Your Pass ransomware. Grey Noise reported that over 1,000 unique IP addresses were involved in exploitation attempts in January 2025, with notable spikes observed in February, suggesting automated scan of vulnerable targets. Cisco Talos observed unknown threat actor using the vulnerability to target Japanese organizations in telecom, technology, and education, deploying Cobalt Strike plugins for credential theft and privilege escalation. It's certainly one to patch if you're operating PHP CGI in a Windows environment. Remember, if you've got any comments or questions, please get in touch with us using cti@kroll.com. So let's get into the rest of today's briefing. I'm going to be covering the March Patch Tuesday, and there's a lot to cover. Dave will be talking about a phishing campaign executed by KTA 410, aka Blind Eagle, and Sam is covering a crypto stealing scamming effort. So let's talk about Patch Tuesday. There's quite a lot to cover here. So 72 vulnerabilities fixed. That includes vulnerabilities in Chromium, which of course affects Edge. We've got 6 0 days, and some of these are chained. So the first sort of 4 that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there, many of these are affecting file system vulnerabilities and NTFS. The first one, CVE 2025-24985, allows a threat actor to use a specially crafted FAT formatted virtual hard drive, that's a .vhd file, to execute arbitrary code. Although the vulnerability is titled remote here, the attacker would need to convince the user to run a malicious PHP file in order to execute that code. The following two vulnerabilities can also be exploited using VHD files, according to Microsoft, and they allow an attacker to execute code and read memory. The last one on that list there, the last NTFS vulnerability, that's CVE 2025-24984, doesn't specifically mention VHD files, but it does allow an attacker to read portions of memory or gather information that should otherwise remain inaccessible. And all four of those vulnerabilities were reported anonymously. Additional details about in-the-wild exploitation have not been shared, but we are assuming that they're all discovered approximately at the same time as a result of zero-day exploitation campaign chaining those vulnerabilities together in some way. But there's no details to confirm that as of yet. Next up is CVE 2025-24983 with a CVSS score of 7. And this is a Windows kernel subsystem elevation of privilege vulnerability, which allows an attacker to escalate their privileges to system. And affects Windows OS versions prior to Windows 10 Windows 10 1.80 and Windows Server versions up to 2016. Is a memory flaw that means a race condition must be won by the attacker in the Win32k driver, and that can be exploited to run arbitrary code with kernel privileges, according to Microsoft. ESET reported this vulnerability, and they reported that it was actively exploited as a zero-day since at least March 2023. That's March 2023. So that's a long 2-year campaign of in-the-wild exploitation, at least when it was first seen, and that, according to ESET, was used to deliver pipe magic malware. More information on that is apparently due to be released in the coming weeks. And the final one here is CVE 2025-26633 with a CVSS score of 7. And this is another Microsoft Management Console security feature bypass vulnerability, very similar to those that were fixed towards the end of last year. The vulnerability allows an attacker to use a specially crafted Microsoft Management Console file to bypass security features in Windows and allow the execution of arbitrary code. Once again, the attacker must convince the user to execute one of those maliciously crafted files in order to exploit the vulnerability remotely. It's very important to bear in mind. That's why the CVSS score is as low as it is. Details of the in-the-wild exploitation have not yet been shared, but this was discovered by Trend Micro, the Zero-Day Initiative. They do attribute the exploitation to a group known as EncryptHub, which is also known as Lava 208, and which we track as KTA 427. The group has previously been noted to deploy Ransom Hub and Black Suit ransomware, as well as crafting some of their own ransomware PowerShell files. We already have pretty good detection in place for MMC spawning suspicious processes, but we're going to continue to monitor for more information on these vulnerabilities and indeed KTA 427 as well. And that's it from me. I will hand over now to Dave to talk about KTA 410. Over to you, Dave.
Thank you. Checkpoint Research detailed a campaign orchestrated by KTA 410, aka Blind Eagle, a group that performs both cybercrime and espionage. They note that the group has expanded their toolset to utilize the packet-as-a-service HeartCrypt to package PureLoader, ultimately to deploy Remcos-Rat. The campaign starts with a phishing email distributing .url files via Google Drive accounts. User interaction with the URL file will lead to the download of HeartCrypt-packed PureLoader, which executes via injection into the C# compiler csc.exe. PureLoader checks information such as username, host details, running process, and antivirus software before downloading and executing Remcos-Rat from a GitHub repository. The GitHub repository has been previously used by the group, and Checkpoint believes many thousands of hosts have been infected by this or subsequent KTA 410 campaigns since November. This campaign achieved success at infecting many victim machines with a chain that requires user interaction. This indicates that traditional methods of phishing are still successful and highlights the need for continuous anti-phishing training as part of a defense in-depth approach that includes both perimeter email scanning and host protections such as EDR. Thank you. George.
Thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate that. And now we go over to Sam for GrassCall. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, George. Sophisticated social engineering campaigns have been uncovered, targeting job seekers in the cryptocurrency and Web3 sectors. The campaign, dubbed GrassCall, was carried out by Russian-speaking cybercriminal organization Crazy Evil, with its subgroup Kevland leading the operation. The group lures victims with fake employment opportunities advertised on reputable job boards and utilizes a multi-stage attack to compromise the victim's systems and steal their cryptocurrency assets. Crazy Evil has been connected with a number of scams targeting the crypto space, promoting job opportunities and games via social media platforms to trick users into downloading malicious software on their Windows and Mac devices. Once installed, the software deploys information-stealing malware that can be used to obtain passwords, authentication cookies, and crypto wallet credentials from the compromised computer. Since inception in 2021, Crazy Evil has become one of the most prolific groups targeting digital assets. They specialize in identity fraud, cryptocurrency theft, and info-stealer deployment. The group implement advanced social engineering tactics, often involving the use of traffers, social engineering experts who redirect legitimate traffic to malicious phishing pages. GrassCall has been operational since early 2025, with significant attacks documented throughout February and early March. As shown in the attack chain on the right, attackers first set up a fabricated business, in this case chainseeker.io, featuring a professional website and active social media accounts on platforms like LinkedIn and X. High-quality premium job listings are then posted on reputable job boards like LinkedIn, Wellfound, and Crypto Jobs List to attract unsuspecting applicants. After responding to the job posting, candidates are sent an email inviting them to an interview with the Chief Marketing Officer and instructing them to contact the CMO via Telegram to coordinate a suitable date and time. Via Telegram, the CMO asks the victim to confirm an appointment made using the legitimate scheduling app Calendly. In the Calendly appointment, the CMO shares a passcode for the meeting. Just before the scheduled call, the CMO directs candidates to download a video conferencing application called GrassCall from grasscall.net. Access to the download requires the passcode provided in the Calendly appointment. The website then detects the victim's operating system and offers the corresponding malicious client. Installing the GrassCall Windows client triggers the deployment of the remote access Trojan and info stealer Radamanthus. This allows attackers to maintain ongoing access, log keystrokes, and extract sensitive data. The macOS client GrassCall version 6.1 deploys the atomic macOS stealer known as Amos, a tool specifically designed to harvest confidential data from macOS devices. Upon execution, GrassCall exe runs the add MP preference command to add an exclusion path to Microsoft Defender that excludes the entire C drive, disabling Defender's ability to detect or respond to any malicious activity occurring on the drive. It then attempts to download multiple samples of Radamanthus to the user's document folder and execute it. Upon execution, Radamanthus first attempts to establish a connection to the command and control server. The malware then proceeds to steal files based on keywords, cryptocurrency wallets, passwords, and authentication cookies stored in web browsers. In the case of macOS, Amos will extract passwords stored in the Apple keychain. Stolen information is then uploaded to the attacker's servers. If a wallet is found, the hackers use a brute force method to crack passwords and drain the user's assets. Payment information for Crazy Evil members publicly posted to Telegram reveals significant sums have been stolen from some of the successfully exploited victims. Recent searches revealed chainseeker.io and grasscall.net websites are no longer available, and job postings and accounts on LinkedIn have been removed, indicating public attention has led to the termination of this particular scam. However, intelligence reports indicate that the threat actors have recently evolved their campaign, rebranding their malicious software as VibeCall while maintaining similar tactical approaches. The sophistication of the group's social engineering tactics effectively bypass victims' initial suspicion by embedding the malicious activity within a context that feels natural to job seekers. This, combined with the high returns shared publicly by the group, suggests that while the actors' campaigns evolve, they remain active and profitable for the threat actor, necessitating continued vigilance from job seekers. To mitigate the risks of this type of attack, Kroll recommends users to exercise caution when receiving unsolicited job offers, confirm their authenticity, and use official verified channels to validate any recruitment-related communications. Avoid installing software from unknown or unverified sources, particularly when requested as part of unsolicited interactions. If you suspect you may have interacted with scammers or installed suspicious apps on your devices, change your passwords, revoke authentication tokens, and move crypto assets to fresh wallets. It's also recommended to turn on two-factor authentication via an authentication app on all websites that support this feature. Back to you, George.
Thank you very much, Sam. And thank you also to Dave. That's all we have time for this week. If you have any questions or comments, please do reach out to us using cti@kroll.com. That's cti@kroll.com. Have a wonderful day.